written exactly the same way. If it's uppercase or lowercase, it makes a difference. And here we say it's an input. And we could also have it to say it's an output. Okay? And when each time we finish a line of code, there is a semicolon to say that's the end of this line. Every line of code has a semicolon. When you name a function and you open a bracket, you don't put a semicolon. But if you open a bracket, you have to close brackets. Remember, it's closed doors policies. If you open the door, you have to close it afterwards. So here we have the pin mode, and then we have the serial begin. What serial begin? We don't know. We don't speculate. We go back to the main tutorial, and we have here the serial. And when you go to serial, it's a set of functions to allow us to communicate between the Arduino and the computer, to speak in simple terms. You need to go not too much to all this stuff. So we have the begin here, and that serial.begin, that's what it does. It sets the data rate. It's bit per second, and we use the default one, which is 9600. Before your times, when you weren't even born, we used to have dial-up internet, and we used to have dial-up connections. And dial-up connections use sounds over the normal telephone lines to exchange data, and there was a certain rate at which we did it. And the standard one was 9600. So that means that we're exchanging the data, we need to set the data at which we're going to exchange things. And we just say it in the serial begin, we say 9600. So we just set the rate. And it comes here. And when you open the serial monitor, you have to check that you have the same rate. So we set the rate here. Then we have something else called mouse begin. Again, we go here, and we go to the mouse one, and we see if you have a mouse. See? And it's here. And you check what it does. So mouse begin, what does it do? Here. It emulates the mouse connected to a computer. And that's just to start, to launch it. To emulate means fake. Okay? So that's what it does. Here it says, it's just saying, start faking that you're a mouse, and start faking that you're a keyboard. So your Arduino is going to emulate a mouse, and it's going to emulate a keyboard. All right? That's what it does. And that's what you need to do when you look at a piece of code, is understand every line and understand what it does. And here you see we're calling a function. So because we included the file, we can call the function from that file. All right? So we've done the setups. We can move to the loop. Are there any questions so far? Do you all get it? Okay. So moving to the loop. We have different things that happens, okay? First part, we have if serial available is more than 0, you do something. That essentially is, if this is more than 0, you do something. So what's this? That's serial available. What does serial available is? We go back here, and we have serial here, and we look at the function serial available. And here it is, serial available. And what it is, it gives a number of bytes available to read from the serial port. So that means there are some data that are available from reading. So you read something. So it says here, basically, if you read something, then you do that. Right. First, the character in character is serial read. So this character takes the value that is read from the serial port, from the USB port, okay? And if you read U, so switch in car, case U, case D, case L, case R, case M. I will explain by reference, but first I'll explain it in English. It means looking at in car, we reckon we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 case. So if in car gives us a U, you move the mouse up and you do this. If the in car is a D, you use mouse move and you apply this. And you brake. That means you get out of this. If the in car is an L, you move the mouse left by doing this, so it goes this way, and you brake, so you get out of this loop. If it's R, you move this way and then you brake, and if it's M, you move that way and then you brake. Okay? So with the U, you move the mouse up, D down, L left, R right, and M is a left click. Okay? And that is as if you had a mouse. Okay. So let's see how we understand this switch, because I said it like this because I know it. But if I go back to the tutorials, I can see here the switch case here. And this is how it works. Switch, read the variable, case it's 1, you do something if the variable is equal 1, and then you brake, you get out. Case 2, you do something when the variable equals 2, and then you brake, as in you get out. And default, as in any other value, if nothing else much, do this. So this is a bit like if it's 1, do this, if it's 2, do this, if it's 3, do this, else do this. But it's neater with the switch structure. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, what matters to you is never try to speculate. When you see something like that, always go back to the tutorial to get a complete understanding of it. And remember that here it's a colon, that is a semicolon, that you have to put case, that you have to put brake, that you have to put a semicolon after brake. All these little characters are part of your code, and if you don't put them down, it's not going to work. Okay? Any questions? No? All right, let's carry on. So now we've done this first part. Now we can look at the second part. Now we see if, so we have, that we're familiar with, we have a keyboard with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. So we have a keyboard here, and it reads, if the up button is high, then the keyboard right is U. If the button down is high, then the keyboard right is D. So basically, if you press up button, you get the U to the keyboard. If you press down button, you get the D to the keyboard. If you press left button, you get the L to the keyboard, and right button R, and mouse button M. So what it does, it reads which button you pressed, it makes it equal to U, D, L, R, N, and then it checks what's been pressed, that's read from the serial, and then it reads U, D, L, R, N. So basically, by you pressing on the keys, it's like you moving the mouse or pressing on the left key. That's what it does. And when you see at the top here, yes, it's keyboard and mouse control. It's to replace, it's to using a keyboard and mouse to control things. Okay? Instead of using a real mouse and all that. Okay? So we could put this together. Here is the circuit. Here are your buttons. And then you press on these buttons, and it's like moving up and down with your mouse. Any questions? So let's have a look at another piece of code. So I choose this one, but someone suggested the other one, suggested the keyboard message. So what does it do? Here, I'll have a look. So you need the Arduino and push button 10K resistance. All right. So here's the code. So how's the code working? That's the comments. Here we include the keyboard.h. Then we have a constant integer, which is the button pin, where the button is going to be attached. We know it has to be a constant because it's not going to change. Then we have an integer, which is the previous button state, and an integer, which is a counter. So these are your variables. Then in the setup, we set the pin of the button pin as an input, and we launch and initialize the keyboard in relation. Yeah? Then in the loop, what do we do? So the button state reads from the button pin, so it's saying if the button had been pressed or not. So if the button state is different from the previous button state. So the previous button state is high. If you don't do anything, it's low. That's different. And button state is high, then do 1. So increase by 1. Keyboard print, you press the button, and then print the button, and then this, and then that, and this. What does it do? It's very simple. It reads from the pin of the button to see if it's pressed or not. If what you have now is different from what you had, and you're pressing, the counter goes up. So you've just done a new press. That's what it means. And it then print, you've pressed the button, and then it gives you the counter which keeps going up. So you press the button 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. But that only works if the button state is high, and it reads previous button state equal button state, so it becomes high. And then you keep your button pressed, that's going to be the same than this. So you're not going to increase. So for this counter to increase, you have to press and release, and press and release, and press and release. Otherwise, this condition is not correct, and you can't have it played several times. You can't have it keep counting. It will only count when there is a change between the current button state and the previous button state. Okay? And the button state has to be high. So if it's high and goes low, it doesn't increase. If it's high and goes high, it doesn't increase. If it's slow, it doesn't increase. It only increases if it's slow and it goes high. Okay? And that's what it does. So it allows you to count things. This you can implement very easily. You know how to make a push button, so you can just implement that directly. But again, what you need to do is to learn to clearly understand how it works. When you see a double E like the and, what does it mean? You have to check. When you have 2 equals, what does it mean? When you have exclamation mark and equal, what does it mean? Well, here they have exclamation mark here. If you go here, where are they? This means equal to. Is this equal to this? Here it's not equal, that's a sign that means that is going to take the value that you have here. Here it's saying, is this equal to that? Is this not equal to that? Is this less than that? Is this greater than that? Is this less or equal than this? Is this more or equal than that? That's how it works. You have to read this to understand. This means and. This means or. This means not. So here, where's my mouse? So it's saying if button